God be the glory. To God be the glory. To God be the glory for the things He has done. His love, with His love, He has saved me. He has saved me with His power. With His power, He has raised me. He has raised. Oh, to God be the glory for the things He has done. Bless His name. Would you clap your hands for the life and legacy of Pastor Andre Crouch? Come on, give God some praise. A life well lived, a life well modeled. Genesis 27 houses and holds our text. Genesis 27. It really ought not take you long to get to the first book of the Bible. Genesis 27. Once you have found it, would you declare out loud, I'm there? Genesis 27, 11 through 17. Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, but my brother Esau is a hairy man, and I have smooth skin. What if the father touches me? Would you look at the person beside you and ask him, what you gonna do if the father touches you? I would appear to be tricking him and would bring down a curse on myself rather than a blessing. His mother said to him, my son, let the curse fall on me. Just do what I say and go get them for me. So he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and she prepared some tasty food just the way his father liked it. Then Rebekah took the best clothes of Esau, her older son, which he had in the house, and put them on her younger son, Jacob. She also covered his hands and the smooth part of his neck with goat skin. Then she handed to her son Jacob the tasty food and the bread she made. Look at verse 16, Genesis 27. She also covered his hands and the smooth part of his neck. You may be seated. Would you arm yourself with a writing instrument? If in fact you're technologically savvy, I want you to go to the note-taking station in your device. It's a lot of principal points and keys that I want to give you on today, but I think are going to benefit and serve you long after this day is over. She also covered up his hands and the smooth part of his neck. I want to preach for a little while today using as a subject, I'm going natural. I'm going natural. My dear comrades, annually Forbes magazine affixes a list of those around the globe with the most fiscal influence. For years, amongst minority women on top of that list was Oprah Winfrey, whose estimated assets orbit around $2.3 billion. That's with a B. Estimated assets for Oprah Winfrey, are $2.3 billion. For the very first time in almost 17 years, Oprah Winfrey was unseated by a sister from Nigeria named Florosha Alakai, who is, ladies and gentlemen, an oil tycoon. While Oprah is worth $2.3 billion, the sister from Nigeria is worth $7.9 billion. While beyond commendable these super bad sisters are, they pale in comparison to the enterprising efforts of Madam C.J. Walker, born Sarah Breedlove. And by 1914, she became, please have this, she became the first female of any ethnicity to become a self-made millionaire in America, Madam C.J. Walker. She amassed her wealth from developing her own line of beauty and hair care products for black women. Her philanthropic philosophy was built on such that she should not just reward black women for sales, shouldn't just reward women for recruitment, but they ought to be rewarded for what they give back to the community. Ladies and gentlemen, it should be noted as a historical marker that since Madam C.J. Walker has gone on to be with God, that not since her death have black people ever, since she died, had control over the hair industry. While we applaud Iman Cosmetics, who in 2014 grossed $25 million a year. Iman Cosmetics grossed $25 million just last year. Ethnic hair and cosmetics is a $97 million industry. $97 million industry, and only 25 million of the 97 million went back into a black business. Our sisters in particular, I want you to write this down. Our sisters spend 80% more on cosmetics and on skin care than any other ethnicity in the world. According to Essence Magazine in 2012, Essence Magazine said, if there's any industry that black women ought to dominate, it is in ownership. But we yielded our income to Pakistanis, Indians, Koreans, Europeans, and Dominicans. It is not good enough for you to just do hair if you don't own it. And not just doing hair, but using the products that are produced from a black corporation. It's not sufficient for you to just apply makeup if you are not making a difference. With our collective level of investment, it makes me really want to reevaluate the level of insanity held by Lorenzo Del Pane. Lorenzo Del Pane is the CEO of Revlon Cosmetics. According to a 2003 discrimination lawsuit held and levied by him from former employees, in the brief, he is charged with first-degree bigotry for lamenting on how much he thinks America is a dirty country, filled with dirty people, and black people being dirtiest of them all. This from the head of Revlon Cosmetics. That the citizens, watch this, in South Africa while he was closing a multinational, multi-million-dollar deal, he says in an offhand remarks to his colleagues and members of the board of Revlon, you always know when a black person is coming because you smell them before they come in the room. My dear friends, maybe Revlon should know the scent of missing money. If in fact they have no intention of removing this president who feels like his remarks are not off kilter, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just sharing with you how it is that you ought to be a conscientious consumer. And so for your benefit, I want to share with you what it is that Revlon Cosmetics owns and manages. Would you please write this down? Revlon Cosmetics and the subsidiaries thereof are the holders of Jean Naté that your grandmother had. Y'all know that bottle. Charlie. Ultima. New Complexion. Color Stay. Age Defying Cream. Almay. Color Silk. What you put in your children, Cream of Nature. What the Vietnamese apply to your hands, C&D Nails and Shellac. Pure Ice. Unique One. In the event that I've gone too fast, let me give it to you again. Here are the controlling companies run by Revlon Cosmetics. Jean Naté, Charlie, Ultima, New Complexion, Color Stay, Age Defying Cream, Almay, Color Silk, Cream of Nature, C&D Nail and Shellac, Pure Ice, and Unique One. This is, ladies and gentlemen, perhaps the hour that Revlon needs to know and become intimately acquainted with the fragrance called Empty Bank Vaults. Since they claim that they can smell us coming, I want them to smell us leaving. Anthropologists and archaeologists have unearthed evidence that makeup began as early as 6,000 years ago. And it began ritualistically in Egypt. Makeup did not hit America in mainstream until the dawn of movies and moving pictures with the likes of Max Factor. And most cosmetic lines of that hour and of that time did not have cosmetics that were conducive to assist people who had heavy dosages of melanin. And so these cosmetic companies, as a trade-off of their twisted conscience, rather than producing cosmetics for sisters of color, they began to bombard the black market with skin lightening potions. That is until the innovative work of Madam C.J. Walker. Makeup, by its very definition, is designed to conceal blemishes. Makeup is used to cover spots. Makeup, here it is utilized to, in fact, disguise deficiencies. Let me give it to you again. Makeup is used to conceal blemishes, to cover spots, and to disguise deficiencies. I'm here at this 9:30 hour to announce to you that this is the year God is applying makeup. He's covering everything in your life that's left a blemish. Everything that you have been through that tried to leave a mark. Everything that the enemy tried to make you feel inadequate about yourself. God says, I'm getting ready to cover it. And not only is he doing that for those of you who can receive it, God is about to make up, hear me, for lost time. All of the time you wasted, all of the time that people unappreciatively used. He says, I'm getting ready to give you the years, not the days, the years that the cankerworm destroyed. I don't know where you are, but you ought to be shouting unto God. Why? Because you're getting ready to make up for lost time. I was coming from Nassau, Bahamas, and we had technical difficulties coming out of the runway. And when it is that we finally were getting ready to take off, the pilot came on and he said, I want to apologize that we're leaving behind schedule. He then followed up, my dear friends, by saying, whatever time was lost on the ground, I'm going to make it up in the air. Ladies and gentlemen, when we were finally landing in Houston, Texas, the pilot came on and said, we are now landing ahead of schedule. I don't know how many of you can receive it, but God wanted you to know, I don't care how long the delay has been, you get ready to make up for it up in the air. And those of you with crazy faith, I hope you are buckled up and in the upright position, because God says you're going to land earlier than what you expected. And those of you who thank God he's getting ready to make up for lost time, will you give God your best shout of thanksgiving now? That's the wrong neighbor. Let me give this to the person beside you. He said, not only are you going to make up for lost time, he said, if you shout about it, you're going to make up for the money you lost. Every dime that's owed to you, every dollar that is supposed to come into your account, God says, I'm giving it back to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Pastor, why is God going to do this? And this is only for about 800 of you. He said, Jamal, please tell them at 9:30 the reason why I got to do it is because they don't even realize 2014 was the makeup exam. Everything that they went through, here it is. The enemy tried to test their faith and tried to test their patience and tried to test their hope. But because you held on to God's unchanging hand, God says, I owe you some stuff. There's some things I'm getting ready to add to your life. Pastor, why is God going to do it? Because last year folk don't know how bad you struggled. They don't know how tight it was. They don't know what you were up against. They have no idea how you almost crumbled under the pressure. But every time it got tight, you held on to God and said, God, pull me through this. God, you got to stick with me right through here. I'm trying not to give up hope. And God said, because you stuck with me when other folk walked away from you, I've got to give you a season of elevation. What has the hair industry in an uproar is what they didn't anticipate. Is the fact that natural hair care products have in fact had an explosive spurt. In 2009, natural hair care products only yielded $10 million. 2009. In 2014, natural hair care industry yielded $175 million. They didn't project the trend. They didn't know what happened. They don't know how it is that it came into play. It wasn't as if they had women with naturals on music videos. Y'all not talking back to me. It's not as if Oprah has gone natural. What has happened to raise these sisters at a level of consciousness? Here it is, where it is not vogue, it is not the mainstream, it is not commonly accepted. What has happened to make them give up the creamy crack? What happened to make them make up in their minds, I'm no longer going to burn my scalp or my ears? What has happened to make them make up in their mind, I ain't sitting in no salon for 9 hours and I can't even sleep at night, and then Tuesday it looked like I ain't even been. What has happened? They never expected you to get to the place where you would accept what America has rejected. They never thought that you would get to the place, I don't need your validation or Eurocentric